Hi everyone, welcome to another grammar session of explanations and examples. Now, if you are one of my regular followers, viewers, subscribers, first of all, thank you. But you might be looking at me thinking, there's something different about Anissa today. Now, if you're not new, I'll help you out. This is what I looked like last week. And this is me today. Ta-da! So, what did I do over the weekend? What did I do over the weekend? That is your first question. If you are saying, Anissa, you cut your hair, then you would be wrong. So keep watching to find out why that's wrong and what really happened to all my hair. So in this video today, we are going to have a look at three different structures: the active voice, the passive voice, and an introduction to the causative passive, or the passive causative. We use both terms interchangeably. Now we're going to have a look at lots of examples so you can see how to use this in a variety of different situations. And you're probably already quite comfortable with the difference between active and passive, but it is really important to review that before we start looking at the causative, because that gets more difficult. So if you're feeling confident and don't want a review, jump straight to that chapter on causative. Otherwise, stay with me. So in English, like many languages, we have active voice and passive voice. Now, active sentences are probably what you consider to be a normal sentence, with a subject, a verb, an object, and the focus is on who or what is doing that action. For example, I walk my dog every day. I'm doing that action. Or Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare did that action. So the focus is on the doer of the action or the agent of the action. Now, note those different verb tenses there. And that's why we call this voice, not tense, because you can use the active voice and the passive voice in all our different verb tenses. Oh, so much fun. So the passive voice, on the other hand, is used when the action or the result of the action is more important than who did it. For example, I walk my dog every day. I'm important, but my dog is walked every day. It doesn't matter whether I walk my dog, my best friend walks my dog, my neighbor walks my dog. We're focusing on my dog is walked, not the person who's doing the action. So Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet. In that active voice, I'm focusing on Shakespeare, who did that action. He did. But if I want to shift the focus and concentrate on that play, Romeo and Juliet, then I bring it to the front of the sentence. Romeo and Juliet was written by Shakespeare. Great. We also use this structure when it's obvious who did the action. If I say, the criminal will be caught, I think we can all presume that the police are going to catch the criminal. So I don't even need to say that in my sentence. It's obvious. Another one. My hotel room hasn't been cleaned yet. Well, who is responsible for cleaning hotel rooms? It's going to be the hotel maid. So I don't need to put that in the sentence. It's obvious. And I'm going to use this passive voice to focus on the fact that that action hasn't happened. We also use this when we don't know who's done the action or we don't care. A complaint has been filed. It was anonymous, so I don't actually know who filed the complaint. But the important thing is that we now have a complaint that we need to deal with. The weekly meeting has been postponed until Friday. Now, maybe I can guess that it was a manager who postponed the meeting, but I'm not sure, and maybe I don't care. The important thing for me is, okay, I don't have a meeting on the normal day. I need to reschedule things and think about my Friday because the meeting is now going to be on Friday. That's what's important to me. Or, my pen's been taken. I didn't say stolen because I hope that somebody just accidentally came to my desk, wrote something down, and walked off with my pen. It was not a premeditated crime. So I don't know who's taken my pen, and I'm just going to focus on that action. My pen has been taken. I could say by someone, but that's not adding any value to my sentence. So don't bother. My pen's been taken. Again. Okay, let's compare the active voice and passive voice by looking at the different structures. So in the present tense, I teach English. I am the subject, teach in the present tense, English is the object. But if I want to focus on English, then I'm going to need a passive voice. So I'm going to bring that to the beginning of the sentence. It's my new subject. I've transformed it into a subject. English. I still have the verb teach, but now I'm using verb 3, the past participle. Teach, taught, taught. But how do I indicate the tense? That's why we need the verb to be. So we're going to use to be in the present to indicate present. English is taught by me. So I'm at the end now. I am the new object. And here I need to have an object pronoun. So it's not I anymore, it's me. English is taught by me. Now let's look at one in the past tense. So yesterday, my dog destroyed her new toy. It happens very often. Yesterday was the latest casualty. So my dog is the focus of that active sentence. My dog destroyed her new toy. But if I want to focus on the toy, I'm going to bring it to the beginning of the sentence. My dog's new toy was destroyed by her. So I need to use that verb to be in the past to indicate it happened yesterday. What about the future? I could say, I will cut the grass tomorrow. There we go. I've said it. I will cut the grass tomorrow. It looks like a jungle outside. It's quite embarrassing. My neighbors sort of look at me and say, she hasn't cut the grass. So I will cut the grass tomorrow. I'm going to. This is sure. I'm going to cut the grass tomorrow. But it might rain. So let's say I may. I may cut the grass tomorrow if it doesn't rain. So let's take this idea of I will, I'm going to, I may, and put it into passive. So the grass will be cut tomorrow by me. The grass is going to be cut tomorrow by me. And I don't know about the rain, so let's say the grass may be cut tomorrow by me. Okay, so when we are making the passive voice, we have to have a verb that can take an object because that object ends up at the beginning of the sentence. So if I say I live in England, it would be really weird to say England is lived in by me. Ugh. Now, if you've been following my other videos, you'll know that in England is a prepositional phrase. It's not really a direct object. So putting it at the beginning of the sentence is just weird. Other examples that would be very weird. She laughed loudly. Could we say loudly was laughed by her? No. Where's the object there? We need to have a direct object. He arrived early. Early was arrived by him? No. So we need to have an object. If you're not sure whether a verb takes an object or not, just look it up in a dictionary. If it says it is intransitive, then it means that it does not take an object. If it's transitive, it takes an object. If it's ditransitive, it can take two objects, a direct one and an indirect one. Okay, let's have a quick summary of passive voice. First of all, how do we use it? Well, the main thing is that we are focusing on the result of the action itself, not who's doing the action. Why? Well, 3 reasons. It could be that the doer of the action is just not important. Or it could be that it's obvious who did the action. I don't need to say it. Or it could be that I don't know who did the action or who's going to do the action. So we're focusing on the action, not the person who did the action. Now, how do we form it? Well, it can be in any verb tense, but that means that you have to use the verb to be to indicate what that tense is. That auxiliary verb is really useful because the main verb is always verb 3, the past participle. It's not telling us when the action happened. It's just telling us the action. So, 2 important things to remember. First of all, you need to know your irregular verbs very, very well because we use that verb 3, the past participle, for every passive voice sentence. So you need to know drive, drove, driven, eat, ate, eaten, fly, flew, flown. If you're not confident with your irregular verbs, you need to go and brush up on those. And then the next important thing to remember is you cannot use this structure if you have an intransitive verb. An intransitive verb does not have an object. So you've got nothing to bring to the beginning of your passive voice sentence and focus on. You have to have a transitive or a ditransitive verb. Okay, I think it's time for a little review quiz. So I am going to give you 3 sentences in the active voice, and I'd like you to pause this video and try to write them in the passive voice. They are not easy sentences, so really think about what the action is that you want to focus on and what the verb tense is. So, sentence 1. Someone must pay the rent tomorrow. Number 2. Volunteers will hand out welcome packs to attendees on arrival at the conference center. And number 3. The team was surprised that Ryan had found an economical hotel in a convenient location. I say economical, some people say economical. They are both very common pronunciations. Choose the pronunciation you like. Okay, now pause the video, think about it, and write some beautiful passive voice sentences. Okay, hopefully you did that and you have got some great sentences. Let's take a look at them together. In the first one, someone must pay the rent tomorrow. Well, someone is not adding any value to the sentence. So I don't want someone as our main focus at the beginning of the sentence. And I don't even want to include them at the end of the sentence. I'm just going to say, the rent must be paid tomorrow. I've got that modal there, must. And after a modal, I can only have the base form of a verb. So the base form is the verb to be, must be. And then pay is a regular verb. So paid. The rent must be paid tomorrow. Okay, so in number 2, volunteers will hand out welcome packs to attendees on arrival at the conference venue. So there's a little bit of flexibility here, depending on how important those volunteers are in your mind. For me, I just said, welcome packs will be handed out to attendees on arrival at the conference venue. I didn't include the volunteers, but if you want to, you can. By volunteers. Okay, how are you doing? Let's take a look at the last one. So, the team was surprised that Ryan had found an economical hotel in a convenient location. This was quite a difficult sentence because we're actually going to keep the same start. The team was surprised. Okay, but what were they surprised about? Well, they were surprised that an economical hotel in a convenient location had been found by Ryan. Now, in the active sentence, we've got this idea that the team is kind of surprised by Ryan's competence. It kind of gives the impression that usually Ryan is not that useful. He's not that helpful. So if you want to maintain that same connotation in the passive voice, then you've got to stress by Ryan when you're saying it. So the team was surprised that an economical hotel in a convenient location had been found by Ryan. By Ryan, I stressed that. Now, in this example, you really shouldn't remove Ryan altogether, because if you remove Ryan, we end up with the team was surprised that an economical hotel in a convenient location had been found. Now, I get the idea that the team are going to be visiting a very popular destination where it is difficult to find an economical hotel in a good location. So they might be somewhere like London. Like, I would be really surprised if anybody could find a good hotel that's not too expensive in a good location in London. So be really careful what you are removing and how it's going to change the idea of the sentence. Okay, so sometimes I want to emphasize that I want something to happen, but I'm not going to do it myself. So I'm going to arrange for somebody else to do that action. And I don't actually care who that person is. I just want the action done. So how do I express the difference between a normal passive and one that I have arranged? Causative passive. I am causing that action to be done, and I don't really care who does it. So this just means that instead of using that auxiliary verb to be, we're going to use the verb to get. We can use the verb to have, but in this video, I'm going to focus on to get because it is a lot more common in spoken English. So the structure that we are going to be using, and don't worry, we will look at a lot of examples, is the subject, so who is organizing the action, followed by that auxiliary get. Don't forget, you've got to change it to the correct verb tense. Get, got, is getting, will get. And then your object and that main verb is still going to be the past participle, verb 3. So let's take a look at a few examples. In the first one, my computer stopped working just before a big presentation, but I got it fixed by the IT department. Okay, so the meaning of this is that I didn't do it myself. I didn't fix it, but I asked someone from the IT department to fix it. I arranged for this to happen. So yes, the IT department did it, and I mentioned that. But for me, the most important thing is the result of getting it fixed. That to me was more important than who fixed it. So I got my computer fixed by the IT department. Example number 2, my car is making a funny noise. I don't know anything about engines, so I'll get it serviced next week. So remember we said that we can use this in all different verb tenses. So here we've got the idea of the future. I got my computer fixed, and next week I will get my car serviced. Now here, I didn't say by a mechanic because you kind of understand, right? You know that it's going to be a mechanic that will service my car. Okay, example number 3 is quite exciting because I'm going to be a bridesmaid in my best friend's wedding next summer. Now, my best friend has tried on so many wedding dresses and she still has not found her dream dress. So I think she should get a dress made. It's my advice. So my friend is going to be the one who organizes this action. She should get a dress made by a seamstress or a tailor. So in this case, I am using should as my modal for advice. She should get a dress made, like a custom dress designed just for her. Now, normally I just do my own nails, but a wedding is a special occasion, so I will get my nails done. Active. I normally do my own nails. I do my nails. But as this causative passive, I will get my nails done at a salon by a manicurist. So remember that sentence from the start of this video. Hey Anissa, you cut your hair. And I said, no, that would be wrong because I did not cut my hair. During the pandemic, lots of people cut their own hair. I just let mine grow. I was not brave enough to cut it myself. So last week, I went to a salon and a hairdresser cut my hair. That's an active sentence. A hairdresser cut my hair. In the passive, my hair was cut by a hairdresser. And in the causative passive, I got my hair cut by a hairdresser. So what you should have said to me was, hey, Anissa, you got your hair cut. Yes, I did. Okay, I am a big fan of examples. So let's take a look at a few different examples in very natural conversations. In my previous videos, I really focus on giving extended answers and copying the structure from the question to practice the grammar. But I know some of you don't like doing that because you want it to be more natural. So here we go. Do you usually get your groceries delivered? No, I usually stop off at the store on my way home from work on Wednesdays. So I'm asking, do you arrange for this to happen? No, I do it myself. Now in number 2, this is the opposite because I assume that the person's going to do it themselves. Are you going to install a burglar alarm since your neighbor's house got broken into last week? Actually, I'm getting a state-of-the-art system installed by a company that my sister recommended. So here, I assume that the person's doing it themselves, and no, the opposite is true. They are arranging for somebody else to do it. Okay, so if you really want an action to be completed, but you don't want to do it yourself, or maybe you cannot do it yourself, then you need the causative passive. And remember, it's passive because you don't really care who does the action. I just know it's not going to be me. So I could say that I'm hungry right now. Oh, and I really don't feel like cooking. So I need to get a pizza delivered by somebody. Okay, so I hope you are really clear on the difference between the active voice and the passive voice. We've had a nice little introduction to the idea of causative passive. Now, we have just focused on that auxiliary verb get. There are other ways of creating the causative passive. So please make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss my other videos where I dive a little bit deeper into this concept of causing things to happen. If you like this video, please let me know with a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I will see you in the next video.